The desert wind howled across the scrapyard as James wiped sweat from his brow, squinting at the massive metallic structure that had crashed 3 days ago. It wasn't like anything he'd seen in his 40 years of salvaging. Sleek, obsidian black, and humming with residual energy that made his tools vibrate. "Dad, I found the access panel." Aliana's voice rang out from beneath the ship's starboard side. James smiled despite his exhaustion. His daughter had turned 16 last month, and already she could diagnose engine failures better than most mechanics twice her age. Living on the edge of human-controlled space had its advantages: fewer regulations, more opportunities to learn by doing. He climbed down from the hull and found Aliana kneeling beside a hexagonal hatch, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, her fingers dancing over symbols that shifted and changed as she touched them. "Careful," James warned. "We don't know what defense systems might still be active." "It's fine, Dad. Look, the biosignatures are stable. Whoever's inside is alive but unconscious." She glanced up, her green eyes bright with excitement and concern. "We have to help them." James hesitated. The sensible thing would be to call the authorities, collect a finder's fee, and walk away. But the nearest Federation outpost was 2 days away, and whoever was inside might not have 2 days. Besides, Aliana had that look, the one her mother used to have when her mind was made up. "All right," he sighed, "but we do this carefully." The hatch hissed open, releasing a plume of coolant vapor. Inside, the ship was unlike anything James had seen. The corridors were too tall, the doorways too wide. Everything was scaled for someone much larger than human. They found her in the cockpit, a towering figure slumped in a pilot's chair that looked like a throne. She stood at least 9 feet tall, her skin a deep azure blue marked with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed faintly with her breathing. 4 arms hung limply at her sides, and her elongated skull bore intricate metallic implants that seemed both decorative and functional. "She's beautiful," Aliana whispered. James wasn't sure beautiful was the word he'd use, but there was something regal about the alien, even unconscious and injured. A nasty gash across her shoulder leaked silver blood, and several of her implants sparked intermittently. "Can we move her?" Aliana asked. "To where? She weighs at least half a ton." James examined the injury more closely. "We'll have to treat her here, get the medical kit and the arc welder. I think those implants are more than decorative, they might be life support." For the next 6 hours, father and daughter worked in tandem. Aliana had always had steady hands, perfect for the delicate work of reconnecting the alien's neural implants. James focused on the shoulder wound, using a combination of human medical foam and what he hoped were compatible alien medical supplies from the ship's emergency lockers. As the sun set outside, painting the scrapyard in shades of orange and red, the alien's bioluminescent patterns began to glow more brightly. Her eyes, all 3 of them, suddenly snapped open, revealing pupils that shifted like liquid gold. James instinctively stepped back, reaching for Aliana, but his daughter stood her ground. "It's okay," Aliana said softly, addressing the alien. "You crashed, we're helping you." The alien's head turned slowly, taking in her surroundings. When she spoke, her voice was like distant thunder, but the translator implant in her throat rendered it into accented but understandable English. "Where's am I?" "Kepler 442b, Human Colony World," James answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "The outer territories. You're in our salvage yard." The alien tried to sit up, winced, then noticed the repairs they'd made. One of her 4 hands, the upper right, touched the sealed wound on her shoulder gently. The other 3 explored the reconnected implants. "You repaired my neural lattice," she said, a note of surprise in her voice. "That requires considerable skill." "My daughter did most of it," James said proudly. "I just patched up your shoulder." The alien's 3 eyes focused on Aliana with an intensity that made James nervous. "What is your name, small one?" Aliana, and this is my dad, James. Aliana, James. The alien nodded slowly as if committing the names to memory. I am Zyxthra of the Void Walker clan. She paused, seeming to consider something. You have done me a great service. By the laws of my people, I am in your debt. Oh, that's not necessary, James said quickly. We're just glad we could help. Once you're feeling better, you can be on your way. Zyxthra's expression, difficult to read on such an alien face, seemed almost amused. I suspect you do not understand what you have done, or who I am. Does it matter? Aliana asked, tilting her head. You needed help, we helped. For a long moment, Zyxthra simply stared at the young human. Then slowly she began to laugh, a deep, resonant sound that made the ship's walls vibrate. Perhaps not, she said finally. Perhaps it does not matter at all. But as James watched the massive alien carefully test her repaired implants, he couldn't shake the feeling that they had just stumbled into something far bigger than a simple rescue. The ship was too well armed, too heavily shielded for a simple trader or explorer. Who exactly was Zyxthra? And what would happen when the people who shot her down came looking?